Good evening, good evening, good evening. I want to welcome everyone in to another edition of the replay. And I'm your host, Jabril Rashad. And we got a special panel today, guys, joining us this evening. You know, I can't say enough about the gentlemen who are joining me this evening. And I'm going to bring them to the stage in just a minute. But before I do, let me welcome in my two hitters already that you can see on the stage. I got my man, Mr. Tim Action Jackson from Nebraska. And I got my boy Daryl D.A. Alexander the Great. They're in the house with us this evening. What's up, my brothers? What's up, my fellas?
Replay.
All right.
And you know, we are
today.
live. We are live. So, guys, we got a great show coming up, man. And we're going to get into this African American History Month. So I want to make sure I give everybody a big shout out, man. Happy African American History Month. And we're going to be talking and discussing some things I think is very important, very prevalent within our community. You know, I can't say enough. So before any more delay, I just need for y'all to do one thing before we get into this. Just hit the subscribe, like, and share button for me, okay? Because we're still growing the channel. So tonight, as I said before, we're going to talk about some very interesting things. We're going to talk about sports. We're going to talk about education. We're going to talk about NIL. And we're going to talk about dads who care. Dads who care. So joining me to the stage, I'm gonna bring them all to the stage, man, is none other than one of my great good, like a brother, big brother to me, man, who we coach these kids, man, for years. Joining me is Mr. Willie Weeks. What's up, my brother?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Welcome to the show.
And another,
Thank you, bro. Appreciate that, sir.
This is my brother, the Dean of Valley Slam. I'm gonna give him more than just an okay brother. This is my brother, my Muslim brother, my brother Elijah Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the stage, my brother.
Walaikum assalam, man. Thanks for having me.
Glad you're here.
All right.
What's up, Big Mo?
How y'all doing, man?
Oh, good.
All right.
And you know, of course, I can't leave the sibling out, man. I can't leave the sibling now. Coming in from South Oak Cliff, 6'5". That other day, my other brother Malik Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum to you, brother Malik.
Wa alaikum assalam. Hey, man, good to be here.
Oh,
right,
man.
last but not
least, man, I met this brother, man. I know Weeks is very familiar with him, but I met this brother, man, a few weeks ago, and we had a chance to talk, man. I'm so glad we had a chance to converse, man. But good brother, man, I wanted him to join us tonight on this show, man. None other than my man Marcus Williams. He finally got in. What's up, Marcus?
Hey, what's going on? I finally got in. Mason had to help me get in. What's going on, everybody?
What's
Well, fellas, let me say,
good.
an honor and a pleasure it is to have you gentlemen, man, again joining me on another edition of the replay, man. I'm so happy, man, that you all are taking the time out to do this. I think it's very important, very much needed. We got a lot to talk, so we're going to get on into it, man, because there's a lot of things that's been happening in our community, and everybody saw the tape by now. We're going to get into it a little bit later with Cam Newton, but we're going to get in there, and I know, Weeks, you probably got a lot to say about that, but we're going to get into that. But before we do, I want to ask a few questions. And I'm just gonna come around because I know it's a lot of us on this panel tonight, but I'm gonna come around. I'm gonna start this question and come right to you first and foremost, Malik. I want to know, because we're talking about sports again. For those who are just joining, we're talking about sports and education, NIL deals, and the dads who care. So one of the questions that I want to ask about the state of today's young youth athletics as it pertains strictly to sports. And one of the questions that I do want to ask you guys, I'll start again with Malik, is do you all think that sports today have become the be all and the end all in helping to close this generational wealth gap amongst other ethnic groups? And I'm gonna come to Malik first and foremost. And before I do, let me introduce. I didn't get a chance to do this, but excuse me, guys. These guys right here, Malik is the father. We're gonna get into this later on. He is the father of Manny. We call him Manny. who plays for the University of Texas Longhorns. Started as a true freshman, 2-time state champion from South Oak Cliff. So that's his dad right there. That's Malik Sr. And Elijah, man, he got a whole laundry list of them, man, out there, man. He's the father of cornerback, or former Washington Husky cornerback, Jabbar Muhammad, who now jumped in the transfer portal and who's going to play for Oregon next year, right, Elijah?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. He got his other son, man,
AB.
and Abdul Muhammad over at SMU. And my man Weeks, he's not the father, but he's the grandfather. He wore all the bags, all of the badges. His grandson is Tyron Polley Jr. Tyron, excuse me, I said Tyron Polley Jr. We call him Man. He's not Manny, but we call him Man. He's over at Duncanville High School, and he's playing with the teammate Mason Williams. That's his father, Mr. Marcus Williams. So again, welcome. Forgive me, man, for missing that introduction. But yeah, Malik, the question is simple, man. Are we closing the gap? Is it today's sports, the youth sports? Is it a I guess the way it's set up now, is it a be all or end all in helping close this gap, this generational wealth gap between us and other ethnic groups? And I'll start with you first, Malik.
That's a good question, but to answer, my answer will be real simple. I don't think it's the end all, but I think it's an avenue for us to close that gap. You know, anytime a young African American can get $100 million, $50 million, $20 million and change the trajectory of their family, their entire family, by way of maybe getting some of his siblings' education, college education, you know, and things of that nature. I mean, it's not the end all, but I think it's one very, very, very solid avenue for us to sort of close that gap. And, you know, over time, you know, most of the times we don't know how we're going to close that gap. I mean, it looks almost insurmountable, but the reality is, you know, for some reason, sports, we've all, you know, the African American, we're talking about African American History Month, the African American has always been a great athlete, you know, and if you want to be real and honest about it, we were brought here to build this country because we could handle the pressures of being I mean, you talk about picking cotton. You're a great athlete to pick cotton, from sun up to sundown. You're a great athlete. I mean, right. You're a great athlete. So, you know, and I don't want to get into God and things of that nature, but God will always provide a way for people, no matter what the situation is. And so I think this is a way. This is an avenue for us to change the lives of our people, and you know, that's just the reality of it. So yeah, I think it's not the end all, but I think it's definitely a game changer, because you look at a guy like LeBron James, who's still playing in the league and is a billionaire. You know, so right. It's a game changer for us, but it's not the end all, because you know, we talk about LeBron's money, but we never talk about the ownerships, the owner's money. You know, we talk about he's a billionaire. If he's able to become a billionaire, what is Nike and what is the owner of the Lakers? What are they?
Right. What are they? You're right. And Will, I want you to chime in on that, Will. What you think, man? Today's youth sports, man, we able to close the racial, you know, this generational gap?
It's a good question. In my opinion, I feel like it's a stepping stone. I feel like the stones has already been laid, you know, for African Americans or people of color to become rich in sports. So I think it's definitely the stepping stone. The stones has been laid, and I think with the generation now, I think this can definitely get us closer to the gap. Only if we're educated on it, though. You know, it's all about, you know, being educated on how to get there, and you know, just being educated on it. How do you do it? How do you build generational wealth? You know, how do you know, play in the league 10 years and not be broke in 5 years? How do you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I definitely think it's a stepping stone toward. I think the gap has definitely closed. You know, again, sports. We made a lot of millionaires, a lot of African American people and people of color has become very wealthy nowadays. So definitely, this is a stepping stone toward what's already been laid already.
Yeah, I believe that. What about you, Elijah? What you think? Today's sports, man, is an opportunity to close the wealth gap between us and other ethnic groups?
Yeah, piggybacking off the brother before me, I think it's going to come down to, now you have a chance to get money, but education is the key for you not to lose the money. So if just saying and per se, if you get an NIL deal and you don't know how to circulate the money within your group,
Right.
it's not worth it. So if you get an NIL deal and they take you to buy a big chain and some red bottom shoes and all the stuff that makes other people wealthy, it's really you're really hindering yourself. So if you can't educate yourself on how to circulate the dollar amongst your own people,
right,
you really just wandering in the wind. So I think education needs to. Now we're getting the money, but you need to put the group of financial literacy around the money, so that way the money stays in the group. So that's what I think. As far as it goes, it's like a relay. You the first leg got to give it to the second leg, third leg, and somebody got to bring it home. So I just think that we on the first leg, and we need to get the community and the financial advisors around the kids that are getting the money, so the money doesn't go away.
Man, that's you said a mouthful right there. I don't even want to start, man. But let me just go here to Daryl. DA, what you think, man?
I think exactly what he just said is exactly what I was thinking. Okay, where does the money go after you get it? It does us no good to get the money and then the money goes into everybody else's community but ours. I had always thought as soon as I heard about the NIL that if they could just tie getting that money into financial literacy qualifications, like you have to take a certain amount of courses to get the money. Maybe they give you a portion of it up front, but then a certain amount of it is allocated after you complete these type of financial literacy courses. That was my whole thought about it, because first thing I thought about was the documentary Broke, talking about the NFL players who made so many millions. And these were like grown men, talking about how they couldn't hold on to the money. So what do we think teenagers and college students are going to do? I wish they could have given them some up front and then waited, I know they probably can, but waited till they're 25 where they know a little bit more about life, and then maybe a little bit longer. I don't know. But I just know you can't put that kind of money in kids' hands who've been mostly, a lot of them are from, the hoods, so to speak. And we just never seen money like that. So if you've never seen money like that in this day and age, you're tempted to just spend it blindly, end up broke anyway.
Before I come to you, Mark, I want to kind of piggyback off of Daryl, because I hear y'all hitting on certain things. I love it. I love it when I hear the language of financial literacy, because it's almost like giving a 5-year-old a loaded gun, and he don't know nothing about the safety of the gun, right? And we're gonna touch on this when we get towards the dads who care, because I know I got gentlemen on here, man, that I know has been with, I call them day ones, that's been with their child from day one and watch them to develop it. Not only their child, but other people's children as well. But what we're talking about right now is the youth sports today, as it pertains to the NIL deals that they're getting and trying to close this generational wealth gap. And I like the fact that y'all are talking about financial literacy, man, because that is so important. They're so important. So, Mark, I want to get your take on because you two have a son that's playing in high school right now, looking to play hopefully at my alma mater, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. See, it's on the wall right now.
Mayday.
Yeah, they got UTAP on the wall.
Hey, I had to put take my jersey out the back, man. It's for this episode. I knew he was gonna be over here to give you a little bit more thump.
Okay, appreciate it. Yes, sir. But my take on it is,
think about it.
Is education. I think they need to be more educated on like say financial literacy, because just say they get $500,000-$600,000, they go out and buy a Lamborghini, it's all gone. Lamborghini, you still have to pay insurance on it, or even sometimes I know they try to help their parents, but you can't go buy your mom a house right off the bat because you still have to take things to make the house go. You know, you still have to have insurance on the house. Still got taxes on the house. So my thing of it is people need to be more literate about what's going on. Just because you give me the money, how long am I going to keep it?
Right.
How am I going to invest it? And then another thing, that support system got to be good, because, you know, if you don't have a good support system, you're going to have family coming from everywhere. Your third, fourth cousin.
Right.
Hey, I need this. I'm doing bad. You know, they have to know how to say no, because you can't always say yes. You know, you can't always fix things. You can't be the fixer of the entire family. Now, I'm not saying don't take care of your mom, your dad, your grandparents, but you take care of them to a certain extent. You know, you have to live your life. You have to go forward in your life. You're still 18.
Yeah.
I'm, you know, almost 50 years old right now. So it's like, don't try to take care of me. Take care of yourself and build a future for your family.
Right.
That's my take on that. Like, and I think a lot of them need to look at that Ocho Cinco and Shea deal. When Ocho was saying when he first went to the league, he stayed in the facilities for 2 years. You know,
Right.
he said he didn't spend his check. He stayed, and he was like, "Oh, my jewelry come from Claris." You know, and they need to understand that it's you, not the material things. The material thing's gonna be there. And like Ocho said, if I'm in the limelight, you're not gonna ask me if it's real or not. I'm not saying go out and buy fake jewelry,
Right.
but like he said, if I'm in the limelight, you're not gonna ask me, is this real or is this or is this that? You just gonna take it because I'm Ocho.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Before I come to Tim right quick, to chime in on this, you know, we heard about, you know, what happened with Adrian Peterson, if that's true. Because I'm like, man, you in your career, you made over $100 million, $100 million, and then you have a 30th birthday party where you riding camels and all. That'd be different, Malik. Elijah, if he was over in Mecca, you know, on Hajj. You don't have people come over and you for your birthday. I mean, come on, man. But Tim, what you think, man, as far as the generational gap, man, with youth sports today, NIL and so forth. And we're not done with NIL because I got to segue to another question, but I'll let you close this out regarding this particular topic right here, as far as trying to close this this generational wealth gap.
I love everything everybody been talking about. You know, the whole key to all of it, you know, just like the discipline that we actually discipline our children, our young men coming through, you know, we teach them that. That's what fathers do, right? We teach them that discipline, how to do things correctly. Well, financial discipline is actually really important. And it's even in that, because we're talking about everybody gonna come for them, right? Just like I said before, you know, you got all the family members want their hand out. Don't think I don't know about
the
all
one that she
right?
used to highlight.
So with that, what we have from
Can you get it and bring it in her room for me, please?
so all the ones who are disciplined, we have to make sure we have that discipline. And so if you think about the NIL is a start. It doesn't close any gap, but it actually makes our family individually better. Until we learn to have social economics, which some mentioned already before, how we come together and combine our numbers so our money keeps rotating through our whole families, it'd be totally different. So we always got to continue to actually rotate our money with each other. And that takes one thing more. Not only discipline of the kid coming through, the discipline of the parents and the family around them. Kind of like how LeBron has done with his guys. He made them guys earn their keep, right? Each one of them have a different specific role that they're doing, and they earned that role and got in position. So then they could actually rotate their money within each other. So you got an agent, you got a player, you got all these different things going along, but they earned it. And so they became experts in their particular field. And so we have to do that and then combine together and then rotate our money together, keep each other up and keep growing that way and not let anybody on the outside destroy it.
Right. That's right.
No, you're absolutely right on that. And so that takes me to this question here while we're on this subject, as far as like, and I'll come to you on this here at first, DA, and then I'll come to Elijah after this here. How much weight do you all think is placed upon the academics, academic achievements versus the sports accomplishments? In other words, are they, because I run a program, I am student athlete, as you can see right here too, on this side right here. I am student athlete. I'm always talking about education, education, education. It's the reason why they put the student before the athlete. So the emphasis now seems to be placed on on sports as opposed to academics. So I'm gonna come to you first, D, on this right here, because we need to make sure that this narrative don't get lost in the sauce, as they say. But what's your take on that? How much weight do you think they place upon academic achievement versus sports accomplishments?
Man, that's a tough one, I think, because if you think about it, I personally think that giving these guys this NIL money will probably hamper their education, their future education, to be honest, because what was the thought all these years about why is it that a tennis player can start making money at 14 or 15 years old as a professional, and the college kids are making these billions for these universities, but they're not getting any money? So I think the fact that I'm saying we, but they won the right to get paid for their images and their likenesses. I don't think it's gonna. I think if you already had that mentality that you wanted to be educated or you wanted an education, I think the money would help you do that. But if you were just there for the sports to start, I don't see I see the money doing an opposite thing. Like, hey, I got the money now. Why do I need to go and be why do I need to take all these college courses to be an architect when I got the money that it takes an architect 10 years to make? You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, well, Elijah, let me come to you right quick then on that, as far as the academic achievements as well as the sports accomplishments. Are they placing more weight on the sports accomplishment as opposed to academic achievement in today's sports?
Well, first of all, I just think the university or the university is providing you opportunity. Now, what you come from is how you're going to benefit.
Right.
Now, if your infrastructure, if you have a good infrastructure at home, your family infrastructure is strong, you have to make that balance. You have to balance that out yourself. Before your kid goes to school, hey, look, we're gonna get this degree and we're gonna get this money. The degree gonna come first, and then we're gonna get the money, and then we're gonna put it in something where you can be a business person and you don't have to worry about working anymore. But I think from a standpoint is that you as a family have to set the tone on what you're going to get out that deal. They're providing you two things: money and education. They go hand in hand.
Yeah, money.
So
Let me work my way back to Malik. Malik, so what you think? We're talking about the academic side of this thing as opposed to the sports side of this thing. And like Elijah, I do concur there is a hand in hand. I'm so glad a lot of things have changed, since the time we probably played ball way back when they stressed a lot on the academic side of it. But now, man, this thing has, really, it's like wildfire when it comes to the economic side of it. But what's your take on it, though, Malik?
Well, the simple answer is, to be direct with your question, is yes, they've prioritized the football side of it, the business side of it, and we have to be quite honest. It's a business. Anytime a coach is paid $10 million a year, it's a business. He's not worried about whether you got an A or B if you can get him 1,000, 1,500 yards rushing. You got to be realistic. That's now, as Elijah said earlier, but that again, and this is one thing I have seen on a recruiting trail, is that now you have more fathers involved, so that family infrastructure is a lot more solid. It used to be a time in our history, and we all know this, that it used to be just mama. Just mama. It was no father around.
All you heard.
That's all you heard. But now, when you go on these recruiting trips, when you go on this recruiting trail now, you got daddies right there. You know, you can't fool, you know, you can't fool a dad. You can fool mom with education, but dad gonna say, yeah, we want that education, absolutely, but we want that money too. You know.
Right.
So
Yeah.
but to answer that question, if you just want me to answer it honestly and openly and candidly, the reality is, yeah, the business side is way more important. You know, because if your kid is hurt or somewhat hurt, that position coach want that kid to get back out there and play. He's not concerned about what the after. He's worried about the here and now. How can I keep my job? How can I get extended? And so the simple answer is yes. The priority is football over education, and that doesn't start at home. That starts with when they get to school. I mean, yeah, they tell you that it's about education, but I mean, keeping it real, they put our kids in some of the most simplest degree plans to get them out of school and say they got a degree.
We
You know,
Oh, I'm sorry, Malik. If you let me just welcome everybody that's still coming on to the show. This is the replay. If this is your first time, please hit the subscribe, like, and share button with us. We having a panel this evening. This is African American History Month. Got a great group of gentlemen that's joining me, longtime friends, and we're talking about it, y'all. We're talking about today's sports education, NIL deals, and fathers who care, the fathers who've been there from day one. Let me shout out in the comments and stuff. If y'all have any questions or whatever the case may be, just want to shout out, please feel free to do that. I want to read something that one of the moms, single moms, and I watch her from afar, from behind the scene. I'll put a statement up in just a second because she's been working at her own basketball team at one time. Her name is Selena Darwin. She said good stuff as a single mom, we look for great mentors to mentor our boys, and nowadays we have to be careful who we put in front of our kids. So true. I am looking for financial classes for my son, so any ideas would be great. His brother is his biggest mentor, but just as I coach and train my son, sometimes another voice is good. And yes, sir, athlete first is very important. So I'll put her comment up too. Thank you for your comments, Selena. And she's done a wonderful job with our youth as well. So Will, I'm gonna come to you because we was talking just the other day. And one thing about this brother right here, he ain't gonna cut no corners. He gonna be straight down the middle of the road with you. And like he said, when we was talking about his grandson Tyron, like he told his parents, his daughter, hey, I'm not gonna get in this part of it, but when it comes down to this recruitment thing, y'all let me know. so I know you observing everything that's going on too, Will. So comment about that as far as the academic achievements as well as the sports accomplishments, the emphasis that are placed more so now on the sports accomplishments as opposed to the academics.
Okay, so I put it to you like this right here. I heard a head coach, matter of fact, I tell you who it was, Coach Mangini, University of Kansas Jayhawk. I guess probably maybe about 9 years or so ago, I was there with Love and everything on his official visit. And we sat there in his office and everything, and we were talking, and he said everything good, okay? One thing he made sure before we left his office, he said, I want you to know that football come first. So that right there said it all. You know what I'm saying? He wanted us to know that, hey, everything is good. We want him. This is a smart kid. Let's do this. But just know that football, it come first. So, even right today, just going with my grandson, a couple of his visits with him and his mom and dad, the coaches, they don't say a lot about academics. I think they have to, throw it in there or what have you. But I don't think they really give a toot about it as long as you pass your classes and, you performing on the field. So, no, in my opinion, I don't think they really, I'm not saying they don't care, but football comes first. It comes first. And, they'll tell you, your job is based on my job. And it's a straight up business. It's real simple. So that's just kind of the way it is, So, again, in my opinion, it's the sport followed by the academic. I think that if your son or your daughter, if they go in there and they looking to graduate, they can do that. From what I've seen, my experience, they have several counselors on both sides of the ball, and they pretty much tell you really ain't no excuses. You know, all you got now, when I say no excuses, now you have to go to class. But I mean, if you go to class and you want a degree, you can get it. And like my man said earlier, I don't know what kind you're talking about, but they're gonna get you through there with some type of piece of paper in your hand.
Well, DA,
So,
I'm gonna
you
come
know,
your
which
way
I
with this.
think-
Oh, I'm sorry, you finished? I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I was just gonna say one thing. I always make sure that they know that wherever this kid signs, that our intention is to get a degree. I want them to know that. I tell them that personally. You know what I'm saying? So I always want to just get that part. Hey, coach, if you come here, I just want you to know we looking to go away with a degree as well.
Well, Will, you know, and I'll come your way in just a second, dear. But Will, you know, when you and I was coaching the Oak Cliff Jets, we made it a point. Not only were we hands-on with the kids on the field, but we went up to some of the schools to make sure, and we got a call from the parent saying her son was acting up in the school, and knowing we had a game coming up, we wouldn't let him play if those grades wasn't right. So,
yeah,
I don't know if we've moved the needle too far, and I get with everybody. Trust me, I understand. To be honest, it is a business, but I want to know. I'm gonna come to you, DA, because I want to really know. Although it is a business, everybody's not gonna play in the NFL. Everybody's not gonna make it to the NBA. Everybody's not gonna play in the MLB. So those kids who don't make it, which it would have been a great opportunity to bring on another friend of mine, who had a sense or two, because we talk about the business behind the sports, where you can be a professional in life. So DA, I know you work with the youth. You're coaching kids. You taking kids home. You're picking them up. You dropping them off. You know. So what is your take in regards to the emphasis is being placed more so on the sports achievements or accomplishments as opposed to academics?
For me, I don't even really talk pro sports, or I don't ever talk to my boys about your goal is to get to the pros in sports. I basically pull the basketball out to get their attention, to focus more on them being like just honorable citizens with moral and character in our society. So they hadn't even noticed that we don't even talk about pro basketball. I tell them the basketball can take you wherever your heart's desires are, and it can get you an education. I never say basketball, you can be a pro basketball player. That's not my goal. It may be some coach's goal, but it's not my goal to try to get a young man to be focused on making it to the pros. I want him to make it through middle school, through high school, and if he chooses to go to college and use basketball as the method to do that, that's where I'm coming from. Because I don't coach. Some coaches coach to win. I tell my boys all the time, I want to win, but it's my heart is more full when I know I can help them become better citizens, as black men. So that's where I go with it. So I really don't focus a lot on, the financial positivity that you can gain from being a pro basketball player or college player.
Well, Marcus, before I come to you and Tim on this, I just want to share 2 quick stories, because we're talking about this academic achievement and sports accomplishments, and I'm reminded of 2 things that happened, early on in the early 90s. And of course, Malik and Elijah know our very, very good friend and brother and leader, gentleman by the name of Imam Yahya Abdullah. I was riding with him one day. This had to been around 1992. And remind you, I'm probably 2 years removed from playing ball. So we was talking, and he said something to me that stayed with me for many years. And we was talking about sports. And he told me, he said, Jabril, he said, teach your children the sciences of the world. Teach them the science of making money. Because we got a lot of people that slam dunking, that's catching passes for touchdowns, that's hitting baseballs out of the park. We have that. And so I always had the mindset and this is another story. I had a friend of mine who used to always come to me and tell me about when my son was about like 6, 7, 8 years old, how his son was going to dominate my son on the football field and this, that, and another. And I used to always say, you know what, though? If that is true, I said I would accept that. But I'm teaching my kids, and this is after having a conversation with Yahya. I said, but I'm going to teach my kids the sciences of how to make money in the world. So hopefully one day your son will be the reason why why he's holding out, why my son own the team. You know, he'll be the reason why my son will be the reason why he's in a holdout, because he may be owning the team. So that always stayed with me. So Marcus, I'm gonna come to you on this subject about the academic and the sports accomplishment. What is your take on it?
My take on it is academics has been put to the back, way back. You know, the root of all evil is the love of money, not money itself, but the love of money. So what the NIL has done, they grabbing people for the love of money, and education don't even matter anymore.
Right.
A lot of parents, like, you know, I'm in the high school level, so I can't speak for the college level. But on the high school level, parents are not worrying about education anymore. They worrying about how many stars that their kid can get as athletics, and that's going to carry them through, because schools, you don't have to take the SAT anymore. So if you remove the SAT and I'm a 5-star, I go where I want to go. Now, I know some schools still have it where, you know, you have to have a certain GPA or whatever. But if you're a 5-star, you pretty much wrote your ticket on where you want to go. So the parent is not worrying about education anymore. If you look at all these youth sport groups, you never hear them mention anything about their kids' academics. Like now they have a Heisman for Little League, which, you know, that's fine. But no one speaks about academics. I always toot my horn. My son has a 3.9, and he has AP classes. He's been in STEM since he was in the 3rd grade. So that's what I toot my horn on.
Already.
You know, he plays football. His nickname is Mayday. You know, but he started on the offensive line. He wasn't no all-star. You know, but now everybody know him. The people that need to know him know him.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
But when you look at these sport groups, it's all sports. My son is the best 9-year-old with this. My son is the best, but he can't read.
Right.
You know, that has been put to the very foreback, in my opinion. And it needs to come forward, because just because you get the money, what you gonna do with it? I mean, so anybody can swindle you out of it if you can't read the contract. Remember Dexter Manley?
Right.
He couldn't just think
Oh,
about
yeah,
how much money he left. He lost because he couldn't
You
read.
gonna
He
say
just started
who gonna
signing
count it, huh,
contracts.
Marcus?
Huh?
Yeah.
Who gonna count it, huh?
Yeah, who gonna count it?
What I think, believe you may want to
so
start, but let me come to Tim right quick. Let me come to Tim right quick to get his take on that. Tim, what you think?
Ooh, that's a lot to unpack when we think about talking about parents not caring anymore. That would be sad. I do know a couple of parents that didn't care about the kids even going to college. So it's a different world when we're talking about now, because the whole key is now they talk about getting the bag, right? So everybody talking about getting the bag, and that's including a lot of adults. I'm speaking of. I ain't even talking about just parents, just adults are talking about getting the bag. So that's an important thing economically, financially, but we also got to be educated as well. And so one of the things that's still going on, because I was reflecting about my time as well, going from less than 1% making from high school to college, and less than 1% making from college to the pros. So I was thinking about my journey all the way through Nebraska to Dallas Cowboys, and I was thinking about academically. While I was in school, you still had a minimum to make regardless, so you have to stay qualified. So academics will be, you know, some people be moving in classes, but those who want education will still have to meet academic, you know, in order to be eligible to keep playing, right? And so you don't want to be ineligible if you're trying to make this money, because then all of a sudden you kick off the team. So or you delayed a year or whatever and can't play for a semester. So a lot of times, and some of these coaches, you know, with all the different people that have the help, they emphasize a little bit of it. But like you said, the bag is more important. For the first time, kids actually can feed themselves. I was thinking about this a lot of times. Some of this stuff is really good in this way. I'm gonna give a different take on this. The NIL is good for some kids coming from a family where they're really poor, and then they have to rely on other people when they get to college. They won't have to rely on now, right?
I agree.
Some people relying on some people that's not good people. They have to rely on to get food, to eat, to stay with sometimes, to get clothing, to get somewhere. So that'll help in that, if they got the good institution of discipline of how to deal with their money, that'll help them not have to deal with somebody that's not good. Because some kids got turned away and some problems came up because of who they had to deal with in order to even eat sometimes. So some of that should go away as well too. But like we've been talking about, it's all about the core of the family, how we build on it, and what we're gonna do next with that money. Because like you said, some of these gonna be the only time they're gonna make money is NIL. They're not gonna make it to the NFL. That's 1%, or NBA or whatever. It's still less than 1%. So we gotta still educate. We gotta educate in whatever different way it means to. Maybe it's learning how to be an electrician or whatever else that may be needed. Because sometimes we need these trades done because they don't teach them in high school no more. So maybe we need to build up a foundation where we come together as men and do some things that actually get our kids educated.
Well, Malik, I want you to respond to that in just a second, but let me go over here to the comments, man, and read what my man D. Ritchie said. He said, well, y'all know that money is going to take away from the players working hard and staying hungry on the field, some of them. You will see the guys from the James Madison, Marshall, South Alabama's guys making in the league because they will be working hard to make the league, and hard work. And y'all know the dogs are the ones that makes the NFL. So Malik, in terms of and we understand, and I know it's about a balance, right? We have to strike a balance with all of this, whatever we do. But just for a second, talking about when Will and I was coaching these kids, man, we had the Tayshaun Gibsons and the Cyrus Grays and the Jalen Mills and so forth, man. And we was really focused on the academic part of this. But when you hear something like this, Malik, a statement where a journalist once wrote to LeBron James when she says, just shut up and dribble. Just shut up and dribble. I want to know a statement such as that. How does that resonate with someone like you?
Well, I mean, it's very simple. I mean, it shows you what, no matter how much money you have, what the real thought behind or of you really is. I mean, I think the thing that we sort of glossing over as a panel is the fact that we're talking about the bag. But I think it really starts when you sit your kid down, when they tell him what's his degree plan. And if you say kinesiology, well, you really shot your child in the foot. Because now if your child is getting the bag, getting the money, but he has a kinesiology degree, that don't go hand in hand. That doesn't even make sense. If we're talking about financial literacy, that child needs to be going into school for finance. That's the difference between our children and what we're doing on the base level to get them to shrink this gap that we're talking about. This wealth gap and keeping the money, that's the most important thing. And the only way you're gonna do that is to try to get our kids not to fall into the trap. And those of us that have kids in college know this. The trap is to get them there, get them a simple degree, give them the money, they spend all the money, and then by the time they leave college, they broke again anyway, have to go get a job. But now I will say
in debt.
Or in debt. So that's the reality. And so I think one of the things we can do as parents and as leaders and as people that have some sort of interaction with kids is tell them, don't fall for the okie doke. Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe and go there and get that kinesiology degree to become a coach instead of getting a finance degree. Because like I told my son, hell, if you're going to spend 4 years down here, and get a kinesiology or communications degree, why can't you get a hedge fund? Why can't you find out what it takes to become a hedge fund manager, which the least amount that the hedge fund manager last year was $38 million. And so you spent the same amount of time in school to do something that pays you. And I'm not knocking a physical education coach. I don't know what they make, if it's $100,000. But what I'm saying is, you spend that same amount of time in school to do the same, to not better yourself for that particular time that you're in school.
Absolutely. Well, let me do this, guys. Let's segue to this right quick, because Elijah, I'm gonna come to you on this because unlike Manny, who's still at the University of Texas, Jabbar decides to go into the portal, right? He decided to go into the portal, got an NIL deal. He started out at Oklahoma State, had a very good year. I mean, it wasn't like he was a slouch over Oklahoma State by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
The top 5 defensive thing when he was over there, right?
Right.
Yeah, he left there and then he go on.
I was shocked.
God just blesses him, man. He goes on, leaves Oklahoma State University, goes on to play for the Washington Huskies, and then I'm wind up playing against his cousin in the national championship. So I want to talk about the conversation that you had with him, about whether or not to stay with Washington or jump in the transfer portal to increase his stock and so forth and all that. I want you to talk about that because you got some listeners that's listening, chatting in now who have a nephew or a grandson or a son or so forth and trying to make that decision. And they need to be educated because we're talking about NIL and financial literacy, but sometimes the parents are not even educated themselves, right? So they wind up making poor decisions. And one thing I know about, I'm always bragging about you two guys since I seen all y'all packed in that station wagon way back. I always say these jokers ain't never put up no application for nobody. They know how to roll up their sleeve and go get it. So they just like Allstate. They boys are in good hands with Allstate. But go ahead, Elijah, speak to that, man, for our panel.
Well, at the end of the day, you just got to look at the landscape and look how things change, and you got to change with the times. Like I tell people, NIL, it was special, and, at one time it was kind of slow, and then it sped up. So, you had to look at who was paying and who didn't want to pay. Some coaches were against it, and some coaches were with it. So as a parent, you got to jump in, roll your sleeves up, and say, hey, look, I don't want to be celebrating NIL Juneteenth where, we get it late and we want to celebrate it June 19th and we get it late and we don't get no money. So we were talking about, hey, yeah, I wish we could have got that. We worked for 2 more years in slavery when everybody else was free. So we had to look at the landscape and see, just to see who's participating in it. So from Oklahoma State to Washington, they were participating. It was a good move. We looked at the quarterback, which was Penix, and everybody that watches football knows if you have a good quarterback, you're gonna have what? A pretty good team. So he had the opportunity to jump on Washington's team, and as you see, they went 14-0 and lost in the national championship. When that was over with, the landscape changed again. Nick Saban retired, and so we had to look at our situation. He had an opportunity to go to the NFL. And, we had to look at his draft grade and had to weigh our options. And then, then the college football landscape changed. They went from 4 teams to 12 teams for the playoffs. So that brought a lot of other teams in it because we wanted to play and be competitive or choose the NFL. So we looked at his draft grade and, so then you have the NIL and NFL. So with the NFL, they're not so lenient. You got one chance to make that happen. I think he had like a draft grade from 3 to 7. So we said as a family, we sat back and looked at it and said, hey, well, you can go with the NFL. I think you can make it. I think you'll be good, but you can try the NIL and, you'll be in demand. And he was very, he was in real high demand in an NIL and on the college level. So that's the route we chose. So, and I think I looked at it like the G League, you don't have to go to the NFL right now with the NIL being there. It's like you can just go to the G League for 1 year and get NFL money. And, and then next year, whatever your deficiencies are, you work on them in college and, you probably be a first round or second round draft choice next year. So that's how that played out.
Man, that's beautiful because I'm gonna come to DA on this here, and I'm gonna ask each and every one of y'all this question too, because just on a scale of 1 to 10, how do y'all all see this playing out in the long run, as a whole, in the long run, as far as the NIL and the transfer portal? I'll come to you first on that, DA.
I don't know. First of all, I remember that station wagon too, Jabril. I don't know I don't know how it plays out, man, because I don't know. I personally don't know a lot about how the transfer portal. I know some basics about how it works, and I know a little bit about how the NIL works. But I just think if you don't put some more guidelines on it, it's gonna be to me it's probably gonna be a lot of young men who don't have that those mentors like we have or like we're talking about, who are gonna end up with the money but not reaching the goal that they actually set out to achieve. Like if their goal was to eventually make it to the pros, they'll end up getting NIL money maybe, and not like Devin was saying, working, not having that same work ethic to get to the. If they're looking for the bag, the real bag is in the NFL. And if you're getting that money now when you're mentally immature, you may not be able to reach the ultimate goal that you had, which is play with the big boys. That's my take on it.
Let me respond to that, Jabril.
Yeah, go ahead, Malik. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, that's sort of the what you hear a lot of coaches saying when you're on the trail of the recruiting trail.
Mm-hmm.
They give us a lot of excuses as to why the kids don't deserve it or they shouldn't have it, or they give us all the negative. But like I told several coaches, I said, look, I'd rather my son have problems with money than have problems without money. We've been down that road
already.
Yeah.
And so I said, you can tell me that, but it's like me telling you as a coach. This is what I would tell Nick Saban, all of them. It's like me telling you to coach for free. You ain't gonna do that. If they tell you right now they're gonna cut your salary, Nick Saban, in half to $5 million, you're gonna tell them to kick rocks.
Right.
Right.
And you on the next one.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree with him. That's why I specifically mentioned that the mentors like we are, and the fathers that's right there with those kids. So yeah, we know how.
And one other this too. Let me just finish my point. I'll tell y'all this too. Those kids are the kids that I've seen and been around at, just say the University of Texas. Because I can speak to that. This money that they're receiving makes them really. I was being the same boat as you on the outside looking in, but this makes them really more motivated.
Oh, really?
Because now they are seeing that, man, if I could get this in college, oh my God, I now can see what I can get in the pros.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, their mindsets are totally different than what we would perceive. I would perceive them, I've heard some cases of not being lazy, but just, blowing money, of course. But, if you're saying to yourself, man, like I'll give y'all one example. It's one kid that, highly touted kid, and things didn't go as well for the first year. He's on the grind this year trying to get it because he understands my NIL is tied to my play. And so if you got a check for $500,000 last year and you only get a check for $100,000 this year, Mama gonna be saying, "Well, baby, damn, hey, you gonna have to, you ain't gonna be able to be lazy around here now, cause we were depending on that."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that that's what happened, but I'm saying there's motivation. There's motivation, and you have motivators that are saying, "Hey, man, you need to get up and go work out."
Mm.
Yeah, and then to speak to my friends who talked a little earlier about the real bag of the NFL. That's what they always taught us, and it's really once you get on that recruiting trail and you get into some of those meeting rooms, that's a misconception because the average NFL lifespan is 3.3 years.
Right.
So really and truly, you got a better chance of getting NIL money without being cut, per se, versus trying to go to the NFL and trying to get the big bag, because I think it was like only it was a small percentage that made it to the second contract. I don't want to give out a wrong number, but a lot of people didn't make it to the second contract. So what they have is like a monopoly. They don't have like 30 teams, and all those kids come out of college, so they got way more kids that they can put on them NFL teams and cut them and do what they want to do with them. So that's why they can always just give them 3 years and move on to the next set of kids.
Right.
So if you look at your numbers, sometimes you just go to college and do good in college, and that might be the best route to go as far as getting money. And the NFL is really cutthroat.
Right. I can definitely concur with that. But let me, before I don't want to freeze Marcus and Tim out of this conversation, man. This ain't the Michael Jordan game and the All-Star against Isaiah Thomas. I don't freeze him out. But I'm gonna come back to Marcus right quick regarding the same question, because it was almost a 2-part question, because the second part of this question was simply, and I'll come to Marcus and then Tim on this. And do you all think it's going to be truly a great segue towards financial freedom? When we're talking about generational wealth and financial freedom, and again, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do we see playing out as a whole a number of years? Because I have to say this and be honest about it. If they don't slow it down, what you're going to have is a lot of turnover and a lot of kids who don't understand this transfer portal. See, Malik and Elijah, y'all taking the time out to study and learn this thing. And so you're going to have a lot of kids that's going to jump into this portal, and it's going to be like they just sitting there like residue, making that mistake. So Marcus, I want to come to you on that in referencing about, is it going to be a great segue to financial freedom, or is this, sort of like a fool's gold?
I'm not really sure about which one that is going to be, because I haven't hit there yet. But it seems like it could be. It's like a double-headed sword. Like you have to choose right the first time, and everybody don't choose right the first time. It does give them, give the players a good thing where they'll be able to transfer if they have to. But I always tie it back to, education. As far as being financially free, you have to be educated. And once you get to that point, you have to weigh all your options. You have to look and see what's going to be best for you and your child. I think every situation is going to be different. You're going to have some that, like you say, is going to jump in the portal just because I didn't get a chance to play. For me, looking in from the high school level, I think it kind of takes away from the high school kid, because I've heard, hey, why would I take a chance on this high school kid when I got this kid over here that's already been there? He's 23, 21 years old or so. He's already played in the SEC, or he's already played in the Big 12, or even also played in the Sun Belt. I'll take a chance on him before I take a chance on this kid coming out of high school. So I think it's pretty much like a double-headed sword. It's going to be good for some and bad for others.
Yeah, I can see this too. What about you, Tim? What you think?
It's funny. That's kind of a tale of.
Y'all still didn't give me if it's an 8, if it's a 9.
Oh, okay. I say I'm gonna give it a 5.
You gonna give it a 5? Okay.
I'm gonna give it a 5.
I'm gonna come to you. I seen that look on your face, but Tim, what you think though?
I said that's a double-edged sword. Actually, you can actually look at Nebraska and Colorado. Look at how the paths are different. Nebraska want to build up their team with Rule, and then Sanders wants to actually, because of what he has right now, he has his quarterback already. He wants to actually use the transfer portal to actually get kids that actually he know of already good and can play. So he wants more of those kids right now, and so he actually has been at the top 5 or top 10 in transfer portal kids for the first 2 years of his career, of his start in Colorado, whereas Rule over in Nebraska, he actually building it up and actually building up his recruiting for his incoming high schoolers, right? And so that's 2 different stories. And the other thing about it is NIL is not the same for everybody. Everybody's not getting the same amount of money, and not everybody getting money. So this thing ain't for everybody. It ain't coming all. It ain't like it's. That's why they're trying to decide right now, because some of the schools have a collective where they give some to make sure some of the kids have money. In other institutions, that doesn't happen. Every institution is different and it's unique. That's why each one is an individual conversation, because each institution doesn't do the same thing for as how much money the other kids get on scholarship. Some of them not getting no money in some schools, and some are getting because they have a collective to get all the kids some money, right? They're also talking about doing something later on where all these big giant conferences start to combine and put a pool of money together. But you know, in this capitalistic nation, that's unique that actually they're thinking about doing so. When we always talk about individualism, it's capitalism, right? And not pooling stuff together. Except when we build up some institution like NCAA, which for years it's always been about business. For as NCAA was, right? It's always been about business. They ain't never been about academics. Academic is the way to just say, hey, I gave you something. It's always been, they've been making money, trying to figure out ways to make more money, combine together to do more things together, making conferences and stuff to make more money, bringing in more conferences and pooling their money together forever. So when we think about this, for us, for the first time, our communities are getting a chance to actually at least have a chance. And some of these kids for the first time, like you guys said before, who won't be the 1%ers, this is going to be the biggest pay they ever have. So yes, this is a good thing, but it has to be done right, just like anything else. A good thing come to you got to use it right. Otherwise, you will be one of those guys who after 5 years, after they finish playing, like in the NFL, or finish college in this instance, you won't have any more money. You won't have the money, and you won't, you'll be wishing and saying, hey, I wish I would have, could have.
Yeah, I believe that. Will, what you think, man? I mean, I need to get a percentage out of you on a scale of 1 to 10. I mean, how are we looking at this thing long term? What do you think? Because they got to slow it down, I think, because, again, man, a lot of these kids going to make some mistakes by jumping this transfer portal. Plus, like I said, you can get stuck in that portal, and if you don't have the right proper information and guidance, man, you could be looking at your career. You should have probably stayed where you was at, thinking you finna go hit a payday. So what do you think, though, Will?
So real quick, what was the question again? Because I was having issues. I got kicked out a while ago. So what was the question?
Okay, I'll ask the question again. Well, we're just talking about on a scale of 1 to 10. I was asking the question: how do you all feel about playing out this NIL thing as a whole in the long run? We understand that it's something that's happening right now, presently, but in the long run, how do you see it playing out? And it's another question to this. And do you think it's going to be truly a great segue towards financial freedom within our community, African American community, that's going to allow these children, man, to have a really good opportunity to have that seed capital that they always talking about to get ahead?
Well, if I knew the answer, of course, we would probably be rich by tomorrow. So really, we don't know, right? My deal is just go with the flow and just ride with it and see where it goes, because I have a feeling somewhere in the next couple of years they're gonna do some kind of cap thing with it or what have you. But I mean, I sure in heck wouldn't turn it down. And
right,
like my man said a while ago, I'd rather have money, and have financial issues and don't have no money at all, So I just feel like it's still kind of feeling its way out, if you will. It's still, nobody knows. We just riding with it. I think it's good. I think it can work for the people that, in my opinion, if you already know how money works, what have you. I know a couple of you guys there did the real estate stuff. If you know how to take your money and utilize it, and I think it can really work for you later on, and kind of generate some generation, some help your family, down the line, if you know what to do with it, though. I mean, we all know people that's done had money, and if you know anybody ever had money, no offense, because I'm from West Dallas, Texas. You know what I'm saying? So if you ain't never had money, you get money in your hand, we know what happened to money, right? We want this, we want that, we're gonna do all this. So like the guy said earlier, I think it's a double-headed sword. I mean, either way you touch it, I mean, one way or another, you're gonna get, scratched or cut, But I tell you what, me personally, I think I know what to do with it. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
hey, it
But
is what it is.
I
It is.
think the biggest thing is that we need,
Like you
we
say,
need
just
to
right.
educate.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying. The biggest thing I think is we need to educate them, because you can have money and still not be happy. We all know somebody that worked at McDonald's, got $2 an hour, was staying in one room, and their whole family is happy. Then you got this man over here that got the bag and miserable in life. So
Yep.
money don't bring you happiness. I think that's what we all need to understand and get the younger ones to understand. Money is not going to bring you happiness. You need to find happiness within yourself, and the money will allow you to,
I think
Do what it
Malik.
do.
I think Malik want to chime in on that one, don't you, Malik? You say,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
you say,
Oh yeah.
and I'm not slighting what Marcus is saying, but Malik got this look that's remind me of this comedian when he said, they say money don't bring you happiness. But when I bought that brand new Benz, it sure smells.
No, I'm not saying I don't want. I'm not saying that I don't want
Yeah,
the
no,
money.
bro.
I was happy.
It don't bring.
I'm
it
not
don't
saying I
bring
don't want the
happiness,
money.
but
I ain't
if you
saying
already
that. I
happy-
ain't saying I don't want the money. I'm just saying, we need to educate the people on what to do with the money and don't
Yeah.
make the money the main thing.
Yeah, basically what you're
Right.
saying is being financially responsible.
Yeah.
Being
Yeah.
financially responsible, because you got a bunch of spendthrift. A lot of guys go out there, man. They think they can make it rain in these strip clubs. They lose all this money, man, over this frivolous, shopping. So I get what you're saying. Being fiscal and financial responsible, having some
But
responsibility goes back to what
Right.
Darryl was talking about earlier when he was talking about, man, making them take a financial course. I think that's a great idea, DA. That would be a great idea at the high school level. We're not talking about wait to get to college, because remember when we come up in high school, man, who was offering that? Tell me what school was offering a financial literacy class, please.
Business
this-
magnet, maybe. That's probably
This
it.
money, I heard somebody tell me, they said that one of the kids, I can't, well, even if I can remember the name, I'm not gonna say the name, but they said when he got the NIL deal, they was going through the money and the mom didn't have no idea about it, because there again, financial illiteracy. Didn't have, and they arguing now over the money. Now the money done dried up. So we seen this cycle, kind of repeat itself before. But you was about to say what, DA?
No, I was just saying probably the only school back then that offered it would have been Business Magnet. That's the only one I can think of.
Or Highland Park?
Well,
yeah.
Well, it's funny. I went through the math club, so we talked about financial literacy in school. I was a math major in high school, and then I took finance in college. But in that, they teach you institutional finance more than anything else. Now, I did have financial advising, which deal with individual, how to personally budget and all that kind of stuff, but I had to do with my finance class. So they taught you how to budget and all that kind of stuff. Still, it didn't teach you how to be enterprising. Okay, that's the one thing we keep talking about, because we know what to do with the money. It teaches you how to work for someone else, or how to budget your money on a regular. We don't even have that. So they do have courses for financial advising and stuff like that, for actually how to deal with your money, for budgeting and all that kind of stuff, simple accounting. So that's there. That's always kind of been there if you want to take that class. But what we really talking about when you got a bag is how to make that money grow. Yes, they have the stock market and stuff like that, and you can learn that. That's always been there too. But for entrepreneurship, that growth, how to deal with situations, how to deal with contracts and stuff like that, they're not really teaching that. And that needs to come from our community. We need to actually teach that. We need to group in. We need to come together, and we need to teach our youth that information, so that actually there'll be more financial wisdom, have more financial wisdom, which, not Funky Town, not Fort Worth, but FW standing for financial wisdom. We need to provide that. We need to come together on that one.
Well, collectively, you're right about that. But let me segue over here to this right quick, this subject that's really dear to my heart when I talk about the supporting fathers and all of this, right? Because I think someone mentioned on the platform, I think it was might have been you, Elijah. I can't remember. Somebody mentioned about, growing up, all you saw on television was, "Hi, Mom." They put the the camera right in front of the kid's face, and the first thing he says is, "Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom." And I'm trying to remember what y'all can help me with this. I'm talking about, this was a known player where his dad was always there, but his dad wasn't boisterous. He was always in the background and kind of like being in the background. And he was talking about, I wish I could remember the name of this player, man. Went to the league and everything. And they said, they was talking to his mom one day and some other friends or family members at a game or whatever, and never put the microphone in front of the father's face. And they was asking him the question, when they find out who he was, like, this is the father. Say, like, if you the father, God rest his soul, Mr. Jordan, Michael Jordan is your son, but they never come and interview you about Michael Jordan. You see how crazy that sounds? But this father was like that. I really wish I could remember this player's name, but he talked about how disrespectful it was because the ball boys, I think their dad, it was him, it was the ball dad, and had their own platform talking about this, about African American fathers who's been there from the beginning, from the very beginning, from day one, supporting their children. Now I got two brothers, literally and spiritually, on this platform, whom I've watched over the years, who I would call day ones, who have been there not only for their sons. Let me make sure I get this understood for those of y'all that's coming in the chat and it's logged onto the show. But they've been there for other people's children. And what I'm talking about, they had their own teams out in the suburbs. And if you think I'm playing with it, then let me just bring some things up. This is Malik and Elijah, and I'm gonna talk about this here. There are two sons. That's Malik's son, as y'all know, Malik Muhammad, who played for the University of Texas on the left, and Jabbar Muhammad, who will be playing this fall for Oregon on the right. They not only coach their kids in Little League football, right, but also have been with them from day one. Well, Elijah, I got to put this up for you too, because you holding a trophy. I guess y'all, you know. And that's Abdul, am I right?
That's Abdul, yep.
Okay, that's Abdul. So I'm just letting y'all know how long, when they talk about fathers not being there, I'm just giving y'all, we're gonna dispel that misnomer, because that little kid right there, that's him right there. He's playing at SMU right now. And not only is that his son at SMU, but here's his other son, who's now sports agent for Young Money, EJ Muhammad, EJ Jr. So when you all are talking about how, oh, girl, he's this and he's not that, and he's over here, he don't do this, we're going to dispel that rumor tonight, because I can go on and on. I can go to DA. I can go to Weeks. Now, Weeks' grandson is Tyron Polley, who plays for Duncanville. Another kid that's outstanding, that's coming out, who also, I believe, have committed to SMU. So I'm glad. I don't think y'all knew each other. Let me see if I can bring Weeks back up on here. I know he's having a little trouble with his there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
His grandson. And he and I started, well, we started together with the Oak Cliff Jets. And we talked about this not too long ago. We was talking about, when we started up the Mid-City Giants, when we left the organization Oak Cliff Jets, we started the Mid-City Giants. We just do us having a conversation. I say, hey man, when you don't have the necessary autonomy that you're looking for, then it's time that you strike out on your own. And we did that. But he's never stopped. So his grandson, who put the hard work in, saw him, known this kid since he was in the womb of his mom. Okay, here's another kid, very humble, come from great gentility, and he's on his way, putting the work in over at Duncanville, and who has committed with SMU. And I'm not going to forget about my guy Marcus and Mason.
No, you
I'm not forget. I got to take my segment right here, because again, I got to dispel all these rumors that we hear about fathers not being around. And it's just not true. Not only do you have fathers, and I wish I had the picture. I may even have it. Let me double check my. Yeah, let me put this up of Tyron and his mom, so we can dispel this other rumor.
And his dad.
Let's dispel this rumor too.
That was his dad too.
Oh no, I got that one too coming up too.
Okay. All right.
Hold on. In the middle, that's his dad. That's his dad, and that's his mom. Okay, and they've been married for how long now? Weeks? I don't know if you know. I know probably over 18. What, about 17, 18 years?
17.
So when we talk about the African American family, 17. Okay, so when we talk about the African American family, we're gonna dispel that rumor that the black family or the African American family can't stay together. This couple been together for 17 years, raising a great son, and that happened to be Weeks' grandson. And Weeks have coached kids for years, not just his grandson. When his grandson was just wasn't even
Ball
mentioned.
boy.
Let's put it. He was out there coaching kids. So I'm on this segment right now because we're talking about, I'll get to the comments in just a second. We're talking about the supporting fathers and grandfathers. When I was out there with Coach Weeks, both of my corners, I remember both corners was incarcerated. Their fathers was. And their grandparents was bringing them to practice, right? Okay, because it don't stop, because we know it takes a village, right, to raise a family. So it doesn't stop. When does this stop? We're talking about African American History Month. We're talking about parents who are supporting their kids, but the fathers who are involved with their kids. This man, Willie Weeks, and I know he wouldn't talk about it, but I've seen it. One of his kids, he basically raised him when his father went to prison for over 10 to 15 years. And he know who I'm talking about. If he want to speak to that, he can, but I won't say the name. But I'm just simply dispelling this rumor that there's no great fathers out there, and we have them on this platform. So, guys, I'm gonna come to you first, Malik. I want to come to you first because, again, I put the picture up earlier regarding and let me bring Marcus back to, if he's, let me make sure I'm not. Let me see if he's okay. He'll come back just a second. I put the picture up a second ago with when you was on your recruiting trip. Take us back a little bit on the recruiting trip. When you was on the recruiting trip with Manny, with Malik, what was your thoughts? And here we have a picture right here of you, him, and Nick Saban when y'all went to Alabama. But what was one of the main things that you was trying to drive home to these coaches and making sure that you was there serving your son's best interests?
Well, I'll do this. I'll give you a story. When I was at a certain school, and we were in the defensive coordinator's office, and they were trying to pressure my son into committing. And so, we talked about the great education and all that, the stuff they want to sell the moms on. I don't even talk about education when I go on. I tell them, if we visit in here, we already know you got great academics. So we were sitting there and we were talking. And so my son would always say, when the coach would ask him a question, my son would always say, you got to ask my father. And then they would say, well, what about this? You got to ask my father. And then, so they weren't used to that. And so what he tried to do, because, he tried to say to my son, after he said that so many times, he was like, well, what do you want? Talking to my son, what do you want? What do you want? He said, well, I want to play. I want to do this. I want to do that. So I interjected. And I said, well, he's at the time 17 or 18, 17 and a half, whatever it was. I said, Coach, with all due respect, he don't know what he wants. I said, he's 17. I said, it's like me asking your son who plays baseball, you let me get him in a room one-on-one with him, and then I have him saying yes to everything I want when he comes out that room. I said, so the reality is, don't disrespect me like that. Now, we didn't end up going to that school, A&M. I mean, we didn't end up going to that school because it was the disrespect. Because now you see more fathers involved in this, and I tell, I would tell his mom all the time, if you go on the trip, don't say nothing, because this is not for you. This environment is not for you, because they want it to be. They want it to be. They want her to ask that. They want her to ask that famous question. What about the education? And then they're gonna take them on a big grand trip around the campus, like it means something. Yeah. So, but to answer your question, the father figures have really stepped up, and I've seen it with my own eyes on these recruiting trips, on these just being a part of it. You've seen these, and they do not like that. I'm telling you, they do not. Even when it comes down to, like you said, negotiating NIL, putting their kids in the transfer portal.
On that too, real quick.
Yeah, putting them kids in the transfer portal. And I want to just mention this on the transfer portal. You have to be realistic about that transfer portal. You got 86 people that are on the act. I think 83, 80, whatever that number is, on the active roster. The numbers don't dictate everybody playing. You really only got maybe 40 people that are going to play in every game. So if you got 85 people on the roster, 45 are going to be unhappy and disgruntled.
Right.
And you got to remember, those 45 have parents that have been told they were great all their life. So when you don't play them, guess what happens? They say, I'm going in the transfer portal. Well, they don't understand. They don't understand that the reality is, as a gentleman said earlier, you really almost have to choose right the first time. Because once you jump in that portal, it may not be another time. You know, so that portal, I mean, it's the law of attrition. I mean, the reality is some gonna make it and some are not. And that's the reality you have to deal with. And that's why it's so important that what we all are saying is, if you are fortunate enough to get a little some money, take care of it, because reality is, man, this thing can switch overnight.
Well, Weeks, you want to comment on that?
Yes, yep. Well, just basically what Malik just said. I think it's 2 weeks ago. My daughter had stopped by the house. We were just in there in the kitchen, just sitting down talking. The phone rang, and it was it was defense coordinator at Missouri, and he first thing he said, he was like, he asked, he said, "Is this Tyron Polley's number?" And she said, "No, it isn't." She said, "This is his mom." That's what he wanted to hear, like Malik just said. So he went to work with her real quick. I told her to put it on speaker, right? I mean, we just sitting here just chilling. He went to work, bro. If I tell you, he sounded like a salesman. First thing he did, he said, "Ma'am, it's so good. I'm so glad to meet you. We've been trying to track Polley down, and we want you to know that he's the #1 kid on our list. But we hadn't heard from you, bro. We hadn't heard. You can get into school if you know the high school, you can get hold to him. Real simple." So that was his first mistake. But he started talking, driving, talking about how, Polley was on the list and we hadn't been able to get hold to him. I'm looking at my daughter like, you know, he just blowing smoke, right? She said, "Yeah, Daddy, it kind of sounded like that. So I just want you to know." And then he went on to say some more other things that he thought he was going to get up under her, but he'd have been better off probably having his dad here, because I'm sitting here, I'm reading all up on it. Every time he make a comment, I'm coming back. You know what I'm saying? And that joker, man, finally said, "Well, I want to talk to you, but I don't want Pawpaw around." I said, "Man, you want to come over and visit my daughter, and you don't want to come when I'm here. You want to come when I'm not here." Say, look here, it just kind of turns into one of them things like, hey, look, I know a lot of those guys are used to getting those mothers and talking to them, and man, they just manipulate them, bro. I mean, game recognized game. You can't run that across a man or male, and I just kind of really thought it was disrespectful, and
Right.
how you sit there and told that lie, for one, because we all think our kids are special, and we all think our grandkids are special. And I just felt like, hey, look, bro, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you don't even deserve a kid like my grandson, because I know where he come from, I know what he made of, and I know what he gonna do, and I know what he bring to the table. So it was kind of pretty much, hey, look, she got off the phone. I'm like, hey, you know, that wasn't on like that. She said, "Yeah, Daddy." But anyway, he went on the call or text man and do whatever he had to do. But we end up committing the next week he ended up committing to SMU last Friday. So it
All right, I'm
wasn't
gonna
no
give a
deal,
big
but
round of
just like
applause for
Malik
that.
said,
Oh yeah.
huh?
Yeah, well, you see, Elijah got the SMU hat on, man. So now we we say inshallah, God willing, man. I'll be at the game. I got my brothers, both brothers on this side, man. So yeah. So they in that
Hey.
second third, man, playing that old position that Tim and I once played. So I'm glad that y'all
Them
we on this,
Duncanville boys,
y'all can see each other.
they all back in
Look
Smith,
here.
bro. I'm telling you now, Highland Park, Texas, they it's something cooking up. I'm telling y'all. They own
But
it.
they got
I'm
a lot.
telling you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, they
Absolutely.
do.
They got a
They
lot.
do have a lot.
But let me shout out the people in the comments, man, that's still commenting, man. I didn't get a chance to read a lot of them right now, but I'm gonna try to take time to do that because Selena, she want to shout you guys out, man. This whole platform, man. She come back, she said good stuff to all the men. More women should have been on this to hear this. We appreciate that. And we got to continue to bring more content like this. So again, y'all, if you don't mind, if you haven't already done it, be sure to subscribe, like, and share this platform. We're trying to continue to grow the channel, man, and get the word out, man. Over here, we're about finding solutions. We're about finding solutions. We talk about the sports, but we also talk about the cultural aspect of this thing. So again, we're talking about the dads who support our youth. And again, we're not just talking about, and let me be very clear, because even with my brother Malik, when he's talking about the financial aspect of this, best believe he also talking about education because he's a leader in our community. Okay. And none of these brothers are sitting here saying that, no, we're going to rule out the education part of it. We're talking about just basically striking a balance. We got to have a balance where we've been, let me be real. We can be real. It's African American History Month, right? We've been really modern day slaves to a system that has been usurping our labor, our energy for decades. For decades. Right now, you have about 55% of the NFL are African Americans, but yet we don't have 1% of ownership in the NFL. That's a problem. That's a problem. So when you start talking about galvanizing, these young people, and we remember way back, man. I remember way back when MC Hammer was trying to buy a sports team franchise, and although he had this other brother Brad Davis who played at Duke University, they jumped in, was trying to buy the Minnesota Vikings. I think he had his good friend Christian Layton at the time. They were trying to go in and buy the Minnesota Vikings. Now with him on board, you can't do it. You better be like when Jim Jackson, former NBA player Jim Jackson. I talked to Jim Jackson years ago. I said, Jim, I didn't know you was owner of Cool River. There was one way up in Denver. He said, yeah, Jabril. He said, yeah, I couldn't put myself out front. So he let the other people do it for him. So we just kind of, got to understand the dynamics and what's really happening here. And, times have changed and times are better. Times have gotten better. Now, have we truly maturated and got to where we want to be? No, but I think we've made some great strides, but there are still more things to come, especially the way they're handling the money out now to a youth program. So again, I had to come on here and talk about, the NIL, the education of sport, our youth sports, and Sports Business Institute talking about the businesses that goes behind the sports. We're going to be talking about a lot more of that in the future. We're trying to cement some things now. We're trying to put bring some things back into the community, guys. So again, so Selena, she said, this is a lot of women should listen to this. Absolutely. Because again, as Malik was talking about again, as well as Will was talking about how the women want to, they want to step into that man's role, that man's position. Some of them because they have to, and that's sad on all levels. That's sad when they have to do it. But there are some women who, they want to put the men pants on and won't let the man be the man, understanding what his role is versus what her role is. So we have to make sure we got a clear understanding about that. So guys, because we're coming up on the hours, and we having such a great time and conversation about all this, but I gotta segue just a little bit because I had another question, and I want to make sure because Tim, let me get Tim on this right quick, because Tim, we're talking about I'm bringing you because you have young children, you have young Tim, and your daughter's running track, so you're starting at the small level right now, growing them up. So what is it like when you are hands-on? I know, bro, because you drive to go get your kids from Tulsa. You make it a point, a reference. I'm going to get my son and my daughter. That's a key. Not only his son, y'all, listen to me carefully. He goes to pick up his daughter, too. So, Tim, I want to come to you on that. And Marcus, I'm going to come to you in a second on this. But, Tim, I want you to speak on that.
man, I see it as, that's our responsibility. And it's a blessing, man. I mean, they're like my light, and they drive you to keep learning because, things I do for is entrepreneurship and things I do for is things reminds me to do this, to learn about contracting, right? Because one of the things I did with my dad, and I'm gonna segue back and forth, with my dad, when I was doing my contract with San Diego Chargers, my dad was the person in between. He was doing the person talking. He's on a 3-way now. And so he would have to pause sometime and actually have a conversation with me because I'm the one doing all the research and the understanding of it. He, I get in his ear a little bit, right? So we talk about how to negotiate that. But he was there for me in that negotiation because also he had some point of views and actually was able to have some conversation because he went to school with Emmett Thomas, right? Was the defensive coordinator of Washington, Philadelphia Eagles after he left the Washington Redskins. So they went to school together. And they were, they were good friends, and actually, so in that, that taught me at that time though. That lesson taught me, hey, make sure you're ready, because you got the NIL going on, right? So our parents need to be able to have the negotiation like some of my parents on the panel are doing right now with these colleges because they want to manipulate them just to get what they want and not always tell them the full thing, right? That sometimes when I'm talking to you, hey, this kid may not start. I'm gonna tell you all the glory about it, but hey, sometimes they got this other kid. I'm recruiting 2 other kids who may be ahead of him, and he got to wait his turn, and he may not get his turn to his junior year, right? So, and then he still got to beat out because every year, when I think about the whole projection, every year in the NFL, 300 guys lose their jobs. 300 guys lose their job every single year in the NFL because there's 300 new players coming in. It's more than 300. But 300 new players usually get the job. The average is about 300 new jobs comes in, and 300 guys lose their job every single year. So not for long what the NFL stands for, like we talked about before. But that the idea to actually have your kids and to mold them, lead them, to teach discipline, how to make good decisions, to teach wisdom, to teach them the spirit of God in them, and then have them actually get a chance to actually get on stage and go through all their vulnerabilities and being scared, sometimes, and then sometimes just standing out and just watching that growth, man. It's just beautiful, man. It's just such a blessing. And it's a blessing to see how you brothers have already led y'all children already and how y'all lead them now, man. I'm just grateful to be in this group talking right now.
Well, Marcus, what has it been like for you? I mean, your son is getting ready to play. I guess he's a senior, so he's getting ready to play his last year in Duncanville. But what has it been like, for you watching him, develop over the years, and now he's getting ready to go to D1, God willing, after this year is completed? If you can hear me, Marcus, unmute your mic. I think you're.
Come back to him.
Well, let me take. Okay, you can't. Okay. Check your mic, and I'm gonna bring you back. But DA, let me come to you right quick on that because your son is also young, and you're coaching your son in basketball right now. So what has that been like for you as well?
Man, it's been it's been something I always wanted to do, man, and I look forward to being in the position that these other guys are in. Right now, I get to see just the sons that I've mentored and coached go to the high school level and college levels. Like we feed, like we got a connection here. Like my boys feed in the sock, from Zoomwalk, which is Todd now. They feed in the sock, so I got a connection to sock. Got a connection with the Muhammad's. Jabril, are these the Muhammad's that we played with the brother Ibrahim?
Yeah, we played with the older brother Reggie. Ibrahim. Yes, that's Reggie.
In case they didn't know.
Alumni, by the way. Yeah,
I played ball with
Hutch. He played Hutch.
I was I played with, but we go back further than that. I guess it's your dad who was our coach back at Cedar Crest Comets.
Right, definitely.
We go way back that far. That's why I say I remember that station wagon, and that's how I remember from Cedar Crest, because I was with Muhammad's in that station wagon. We all remember that. So, and man, when you get older, you realize like these men, like your dad and all those other coaches, man, they wasn't getting paid to do that. they were doing that because of the love they had for us.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
when you don't realize that as a
Foundation.
young man, but as you get older, you realize, hey man, they put in time, you know, for
Yep.
not only their kids but the community, and man, that's
Right.
what I always wanted to do. So, you know, I've been doing this 9 years over at Zoom Walk, like, and I can almost tell when it's every year. I can almost tell. I'll tell the assistant coach, let me try to gauge who's got a father in their life and who doesn't, because it's a difference, man. You can almost tell the players who have a father, they're easier to coach. They're respectful. So, you know, I say, well, okay, I know these boys and girls. I coach girls and boys basketball, as a matter of fact. So I know pretty much where I need to lean. When I got to lean a little more toward these boys who I know don't have a father in the house. I got to be more of a father figure. Whereas these other kids who I know has dads in their lives or come to the games, or you can tell, you know, got them right. I can't. It's different. So it's different types of coaching, because I know they're getting some father figure when they get home versus these boys who don't. So man, it's just the love that I have for the kids, and especially the ones who don't have anybody, that I had to appreciate from guys like your fathers and all those other fathers out there who, or some of them didn't have kids, but they were out there giving their time to their communities to make sure, you know, we had some sort of foundation, man. So it's always been a blessing to me to serve, and you know, because I know it's gonna come back in other ways, but right now I'm just all about serving, man, trying to be something, you know, for these kids to look up to, man, as they enter, you know, their teenage years and their young adult years. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, which is absolutely needed. Absolutely needed. And Daryl, you touched on something, man, that is definitely, I think all of us that's on this platform tonight, we share the same sentiments with that, man. We identified something that was going on within our community. We identified something that was needed to be done. Instead of waiting on somebody to do it, we organized and we galvanized and we came together collectively and say, whether if you was over in the DeSoto League or out in Oak Cliff or in the surrounding areas, we identified a problem and began to work on a solution. Yes, some of us may have gotten it because our son said, Dad, I want to play in the sports. You know, but we took an interest, because there's a lot of dads, man, that don't take an interest, never seen their kid play.
right.
You know, never had an opportunity to force themselves to come out there and watch their child play. And when we talk about dads who care, man, I think and there are several others. So shout out to Big A. I think Elijah, you know Big A. His son was in the transfer portal. Another UTEP heading to UTEP, by the way.
Okay.
Florida State last year, so he jumped in the transfer portal. So he's on his way to University of Texas El Paso. But he was going to join us this evening too, but had some other prior engagement. But we're talking about fathers and dads like that, man. Those who share the same sentiments, those who know what it takes to raise a child, especially in this social climate of today. There's a lot of things that's going on, man, and so many people, man, they want to kick the can down the street and they don't want to take responsibility. But you know, not to be able to talk about and give guys their flowers like you guys. I mean, being there, man, from day one, and not just somebody text me, I think when Jabbar, it was about Jabbar. They text me and he was like, hey, do he need an agent? I said, let me tell you something. The one thing he don't need is an agent. His dad and him got him. He's in good hands. Trust me on that. You know, I ain't even bringing it up to you, Elijah. I was like, no. They come from nobility. They come from gentility and the type of family, man, that not only cares about their children's happiness, but overall, collectively, academics, sports, whatever they want to do in life, as long as it's in the right accordance and the right guidance by the Most High God, that's what we're on. We're on. So now, guys, because we're gonna run up on the hour here, man, and I got to get over here. Marcus, I don't know. Let me see. Is your audio?
Can y'all hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you go. Okay. You. Okay, I wanted to make sure. So let me go ahead and let you get a word in on that, because I knew you was having some problem with your audio. Speak to that though, Marcus. In terms of your, you know, I asked you the question earlier regarding your son Mason, who's attending Duncanville, and what was that process like for you?
It's great. My thing of it is, I know how my father was in my life. And he always taught me, as well as my grandfather, if you don't teach them, the world gonna teach them.
Yep.
Who's better to teach them than you? You know, so I'd rather be the biggest influence on him than having the school or someone else. Like Mason, we call him Mayday. He didn't take the football route. He didn't start playing football until he was 10 years old. He started in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He wanted to fight. Not fight in the street, but he took a love into UFC. So we put him in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So from the age of 4 years old to 10, he fought in UFC and MMA. And then he came and said, Daddy, I think I'm ready to play football. Okay. I wasn't a parent that made him play. My thing of it is, you're going to finish what you start. Now,
Right.
you're going to play this whole season. Now, after this season, you don't have to play no more. You don't have to do, it could be piano. You know, you're going to play this piano for this season. And after that season is over with, you can do something else. You're not going to be a quitter. So that was my main thing with him is you're not going to quit anything. You're going to start whatever you finish, whatever you begin, you're going to finish it. And like I say with Mayday, you know, hopefully, you know, UTEP may be the place for him. But, you know, wherever it is, I'm behind him 100%. You know, I get up every morning at 4:30, cook breakfast for him. Make sure he has a good meal. My wife here too, but I want him to know, hey, Dad loves you.
Right.
You know, you can come to me for anything. Come to me, talk to me about anything. Because again, if they don't come talk to us, who they gonna talk to?
That's real. That is so that is so real, man. Just to hear you say that, man, it's heartfelt. It's really heartfelt because here we have a, you know, African American panel, man, of brothers who worked in the community, been a pillar in the community, man, who care, have a love for our youth. And you know, again, you know, it could be very easy to just look at yours and say, okay, I'm just concerned about mine. But I've seen it. You know, I'm a witness to you guys. Just like I'm a witness to myself. I've gone beyond. I remember my son, my oldest son now, he's 28, but I remember he was playing flag, and I said, hey, man, you ain't gonna mess up the brain. I told his coach, I said, say, man, put that other kid in. I don't know if you remember that not Weeks, but I said, hey, man, football may not be for him. I don't know, because like you just said, Marcus, it's so important. We don't believe in forcing anybody, even in our faith, man. It's you know, we don't believe in forcing. Mm-hmm. And so you gotta have a love for it and a passion for it. Sometimes kids today, you know, with my great nephew, I try to explain to him sometimes, you got to do some of the things that some people don't want to do. They always say winners do what losers don't want to do. They spend that extra time, you know, and that extra hour doing this or doing that. So, you know, these young people today, man, they, you know, they're just raised up in a different environment, and we understand it, we know that, but at least we have some throwback dads like a Marcus or like a Elijah or like a Malik or like a Daryl or a Tim or myself, some throwback dads to say, hey man, this is the way it's done. You know, that's one thing, you know, I will say, I know we always have our back and forth for bantering about Deion Sanders, but one thing I do like about Deion is that he takes an old school approach to these young people, making sure. But all other subjects and stuff like that, you know, we can jettison that. But in terms of the principles and things he got to put out, you know, I have an appreciation for that because we need a little bit more of that old school love. Ain't nothing but tough love. Y'all know y'all know the type of love I'm talking about. The love when Coach Freddie James had a pattern in the back of his coaching shorts, and the shorts were way up to their thigh high. You know?
Coach King over at Hustle sitting on that goal post talking about hit the tower. Yeah, absolutely, man. So I want to show something. I don't know if it's before we segue into this last segment. I want to show something. I don't know if I actually got it or not, but I want to talk about it, you know, real quick, guys. And if it's not it, then that's shame on me. I thought I had brought it up. I don't know if this is it or not. Yeah, this is it. So we've been talking about this. Everything segued to this last segment right here with Cam Newton. Is all out there now. He's been doing this 7-on-7 for the past umpteen years, and he had to put up with something like this kind of behavior. Everything that we talked about previously
I'm gonna end it on this, guys, because we got to talk about this right here. When we talk about fathers being there in the household and women stepping back and let a man be a man to raise these boys the way boys should be raised, it is to prevent certain events such as this right here. This was so disrespectful. So we're going to get into this right here. No matter how you feel, just be honest about it. Because this right here, man, when I saw this morning was unbelievable. Unbelievable. So I'm going to come to you first, Weeks. I'm going to come to you first, Will, because I know, you okay. Let me switch. I'll come to you first.
Hey.
We go to Malik.
Okay, no, I'm good. So peep it out.
Okay.
When I saw it,
Okay.
I didn't think much of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh man, that's some of that fake stuff going on. And I heard it early this morning on sports.
Well, he kind of got jammed up a little bit. I'll bring him back up, y'all.
Body.
Okay, let me see if he. Hold on, let me see if he.
I can see names only.
Okay.
Okay, you might have to close out one of your mic. I think you get feedback from your mic. Yeah, because I can hear myself talking through it. But Malik, let me come to you. When you saw this video, what was your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, you know, it's sad because at the end of the day, both of those guys are probably fathers. And, you know, the reality is, you know, you can, you know, I don't know who the blame was on because you really can't tell. I mean, can you put it in a little bit more context of what they're saying about the blame so that I can answer it effectively?
Well, basically, you have a group of young African-American males, and I think some of them had some college experience too, from my understanding. But if you all recall, a couple of years ago, Cam Newton was, he makes himself available for these young people. He's always giving back. But these young people become so disrespectful. And here's my problem with the whole thing. You don't see them doing this at the Manning camp, as they talked about Peyton Manning. You don't see them doing this at Josh Allen them camp that they just had in Hawaii. So why would y'all do this and show the level of disrespect to someone like a Cam Newton, who's been giving back to these young programs? He run a 7-on-7, Malik, a 7-on-7 football camp. Whereas I guess you know how emotions run high, and one of the kids said something, and I think maybe, and I don't know, I'm just kind of speculating kind of what they was talking about based on what the news was reporting. Cam responded, was trying to encourage them to continue to play, and one team was getting they hat handed to him. And so I guess they didn't like what Cam was saying. A camp that's sponsored by him, by the way. And so they decided, seven kids decided to try to jump him. But as you can see, they say, man, he was, Cam is like 6'5", 6'6", 250. And they said he handling business and his hat ain't even moved. So this is the issue.
Well, but let me just, and that's why I asked you to put it in context, because I wanted to put it in context with the 7-on-7 period and the Little League football, AAU football, whatever you want to call it. That has really gotten out of hand within itself.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's why I wanted you to lay context on it so your audience could understand what we were responding to. That is, I mean, when you have the coaches coming to coach on the sideline smelling like a boatload of weed, when you have the coaches walking in with cursing music loud for the kids to listen to.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have, coaches that have no moral respect, they call them B's and H's, and they fight. They picking a fight with the other team, the other coaches.
Yeah.
So when that last incident happened, I think last year with a brother from Lancaster, that situation with where he was, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That's when I said, unfortunately, African Americans are the only ones that need 24-hour security, police presence around a football game.
Right.
You know, and you know, so my point is, at the end of the day, the context that we should be looking at this is a whole context, not just this isolated incident, but that scene has become where the coaches are gambling on the game, so they bring that in, they bring that into the game.
Yeah.
You know, the people that jumped Cam might have lost money on the game. So you don't know what the frustration is because they brought so much of the street into a football game between 8 and 9 year olds, 10 year olds,
Right.
12 year olds, 13 year olds. Grown men are betting on the game, uh, and that's how they get their feel or their cup filled by betting on the game. And then if they lose, they teach the kids go be a sore loser and fight the other opponent, or just fight the first person to say the wrong thing. You know, and so at the end of the day, man, I mean, it's sad, but that's just the nature of the beast right now. And until these league heads really say, "Hey, enough is enough," you know, it's just going to continue to be an embarrassment.
Well, Elijah, what's your take when you heard or saw this event that happened today with Cam Newton? What are your sentiments regarding it?
Well, I mean, just to piggyback off what Malik said, it's not football anymore. You know, they come into the game high on social media. You know, so whatever they're watching all day, they're bringing that back to the game. And you know, if you look at it, you know, and it's sad to say this, why doesn't that happen on the north side of town?
Right.
So it's something that our kids are getting from a young age, and we're not doing fundamentals in football anymore. It's hip hop and social media then football. So you know, you look at it, 7-on-7, they score a touchdown, everybody start dunking the goalpost. Where's that in football? How are you betting yourself with that in football?
Right.
You know, so at the end of the day, what are you getting out of football? When you guys were coaching football, what was the sentiment? What were you guys trying to teach? Is that how football look for you guys now? How y'all taught it in the past? Is that how it's supposed to look now? Where everybody got on a nice uniform. We didn't have 3 different uniforms. We had one uniform and we were happy. You know, they got the beats, the dreadlocks, the new hairstyle, the gold chains. It's more hip hop than it is football right now.
Right.
So, and speak of Cam Newton, it's sad to say, but I think he's making himself too available. You know, if you walk around the Manning camp, he has security. You know, you can't have a conversation with him like that. So, and the kids, as you're saying, they're fatherless and they're disrespectful. So that's just a powder keg for a bomb to explode.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in Lancaster.
Right,
Yep.
just like in Lancaster, right? Just like in Lancaster.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's my sentiment about it. I mean, it's sad, but it just, you know, that's why, you know, it's best, you know, when our stars and our Hall of Famers do make it, when they give back, come back and put a gym in the community. You don't have to be there. Let the kids that want to benefit from that, let them go further with what you established there. You don't have to be there. You know, the kid can go there and work on their game, and, you know, and that'll be a benefit for them in the future.
Yep.
Yeah.
Put the real gone.
It's like we lost the host.
So, who want to go up next?
Yeah, let's keep it going.
Well, my take on it, I got to go pick up my mom. I also take care of my mom as well. But
Go ahead.
my take on it is, you know, like you say, today's Little League is not about football anymore. Everything is individualized. Everything is hip hop, you know.
Right.
Who can show up the baddest? Who can outshine the other one? It's not teaching. And then, you know, it used to be everybody played on opposite teams. Now it's I want to have the superstar team and I don't have to coach.
Yeah.
Right.
If I got all the superstars on my team and I'm playing another team, you don't have to coach. I got all the superstars, so I go out and boast and put, you know, my chest out because I have a stacked team. And I just believe that it's no longer about the kids anymore, because even in Little League, how can you have the best 9-year-old quarterback in the nation? He's 9 years old. You know, he might not even play quarterback anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or I got the best 6-year-old. My son named Mr. This, Mr. That. You don't know what your son's gonna do, and you're not teaching him lifestyle skills. You just teaching him the boast and shine. And that's
Look at
not
that.
what it's all about.
Right.
That's not what Hey, it's been nice, but like I said, I take care of my mom as well, so I gotta go pick her up.
Yep.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
All right. Hey, all
Thank you
y'all
for
gentlemen
definitely
have a
coming
good
on,
night.
Marcus. Listen,
Me
guys.
too.
Yeah, absolutely. But listen, guys, we did extend a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I want to thank y'all, man, really from the bottom of my heart for coming on, man, to be able to share this platform this evening on the replay. Like I say, guys, we upload once a week. We're talking about African American History Month. This week, we're ended this Thursday, I believe it is. But we have a lot more to be talking about. We want to get into with this content, man, here on the replay. I want to thank Marcus Williams. I want to thank Elijah Muhammad, Malik Muhammad, Willie Weeks, of course, my guys, Daryl Alexander and Tim Jackson. We didn't have one of the baddest barbers with us this season, our brother Jeff Booker, but I know he's somewhere cutting hair maybe. But he'll join us another time. But guys, like I said, anything that you all want to say, man, before we close out this particular episode 26 on the replay?
Oh yeah, hey, I just want to tell you, man, I wish everybody the best, and thanks for having me. And I like to look forward to dialogue with you guys in the future.
All right, brother.
Definitely, my brother.
Absolutely. Malik, what about you, Malik?
Hey man, same thing. I mean, he pretty much summarized it. I mean, just great conversation, great intel, and let's. I hope. Hey, the most important thing is I hope somebody listening takes something from it and learn from it.
Right on.
You absolutely correct on that. That's the main thing. Before we actually get out of here, man, let me give a big shout out, man, to the Texas Black Hall of Fame 2024 inductees, man. Nate Newton, very good friend of mine, Marvin Washington, man, who got inducted. I don't have the whole list here. I think I may let me double back on something real quick. Because I want to make sure I give them a special shout out, man, because they earned it, man. And they've been doing this, I think, since 1996, if I'm not mistaken. But I want to give them a big shout out, man. Because Marvin and I, man, we go way back. He's a graduate of Dallas Kimball High School, man. Went to University of Texas El Paso on a basketball scholarship, and we laugh and talk about this all the time. When he wanted to come out for football, we talked about it, man. Walking across the parking lot, I said, "Yeah, man, we can use. You're a big guy." He went out the first time he was playing tight end, but he was running, didn't understand zone and stuff, man. It came down up the hash and caught a pass, and I knocked the wind out of him. So I like to take part in his changing position. He decided to go play defensive end. So I mess with him all the time about it. Yeah. If you ever see him, let him know that that's my guy right there. Let him know that Jabril Rashad, man, said hello. That's my guy, man. But he was inducted to the Texas Black Football Hall of Fame this past weekend. So big shout out to all the inductees.
Congratulations.
Like I said, yeah, absolutely, man. That did go up there. That was Marvin, Nate Newton, Robert Pack, whom I had the pleasure of knowing back when he played with the Dallas Mavericks, and all the other the inductees. So we want to give a big shout out to them on the replay. And like I said, I want you all to again, don't forget to subscribe, like the channel, and then tell a friend. We want to continue to do these things and extend these things out. So I want to thank each and every one of you who came on this evening, chatted out, gave your statements, your comments, asked questions. I greatly appreciate that. And we look forward to doing it again. Tim, I know y'all don't even know, man. My brother here, man, Tim, man. Again, he's a former draftee from the Dallas Cowboys in 1989. Played in the NFL, man, as well as the CFL, and he was a little bit under the weather, man. And he fought through. That's why he got his muscle shirt on, y'all. He fought through it though. Yeah, so I got to give a big shout out to you, man. And I know we're running a little bit short on time, man. But again, I want to thank all of y'all for coming on, man. This has been a blast. Like in the words of Don Cornelius, this has been a stone cold blast. I really appreciate it, man. Getting you guys together, man, that was probably gonna be the hardest thing, but you came on and did your thing. So This have been the replay. DA, you got anything that you want to say? And Tim, before we close it out?
Man, I just appreciate the time, and I just look forward to being as proud of my son as these brothers are their sons and grandsons.
And it was a great. I'm grateful to have the opportunity. You know, even though I was feeling under the weather, to be with you guys, and actually, also about Nate Newton. Actually, I went to the fair with. We just had a great time. Me and our family at that time, enjoying the fair and all that. So congratulations, Nate Newton, and I look forward to your sons and grandsons and all that stuff. Keep achieving all the great things in life. And one time, we're gonna come together as a community, and we're gonna put this all together for our youth coming forward.
Y'all. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. This has been the replay. And like I said, y'all, I want to thank all of y'all for coming on. And always, always remember to keep God first. God first always. Thank you, Malik. Thank you, Elijah. Thank you, Garrett. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Marcus. And thank you, Willie Weeks. God bless y'all, man. And if y'all don't fast, don't know how to fast, y'all come to us. We're going to teach y'all how to fast. Ramadan is coming up. So we're going to be doing this, all right? We're going to clean out the intoxicants, okay? Peace and love, y'all.